Let me talk a little bit about what happened last night, early this morning, and let me talk a little bit about the history and our relationship with Occupy Lincoln, and then open it up to any questions the media may have. The Occupy Lincoln movement has exercised its constitutional right to free speech. The city has allowed the movement to occupy ground on Centennial Mall for that purpose for the past 8 months. We have done this for several reasons. First, we felt a strong obligation to protect taxpayers by avoiding potentially prolonged and expensive litigation that could have resulted from an early eviction. And we felt an obligation to protect the city's reputation as a cohesive community. Even more importantly, we have a profound respect for the First Amendment and the right of citizens to free assembly and protest. We felt that it was in the spirit of our United States Constitution to allow the protest to occur for a reasonable period of time. A reasonable time from our perspective neatly coincided with the period of time available before renovation construction was scheduled to begin on the mall. During this period, we treated the group with the respect due all Lincoln citizens expressing their beliefs. The police did not harass them. The Parks and Recreation, Public Works, Health, Building and Safety departments all worked in a cooperative fashion to protect their well-being. We have treated this group as well or better than any occupation movement in the entire country. We think it is fair to say that we bent over backwards to allow their voices to be heard. As part of our effort to work cooperatively, the city and the Occupation Lincoln General Assembly agreed that the campus could remain on the mall until May 1st, as long as they agreed to peaceably leave by that date. That's what happened. The original occupiers took great pains to be cooperative and observe the laws of our community. They made an agreement and they have departed the mall. Only a few chose to remain in defiance of the agreement. That's why today at 4 a.m., Lincoln police officers and Lincoln Public Works employees cleared the remaining occupiers and all equipage from the mall. I joined the group to observe. I can tell you from firsthand observation that it was an uneventful occurrence. There were only 3 occupiers on the mall, 2 of whom left when asked, and the third, who refused to comply, was arrested. Public Safety Director Tom Cassidy will provide more detail on the operation in a moment. What those who remain failed to appreciate is that Centennial Mall is the people's place. It is a celebration of our unity as a state and as a city. Its renovation will help restore it to its former glory and become a point of pride for all Nebraskans. But in order to begin the renovations, the mall needed to be cleared. A second occupied camp had been recently established at approximately 30th and Capitol Parkway. On Monday, the group was given eviction notices by the city. As was indicated by Occupation Lincoln members who testified at the City Council hearing on Monday, a primary purpose of the second camp was to accommodate some homeless people who joined the movement. Establishing an outdoor camp to serve the homeless right next to a residential neighborhood without any plan for their future may be well-intentioned, but ultimately is not in the best interest of the neighborhood residents nor of the homeless people themselves. Our homeless need and have access to social services that can help them find more permanent solutions. That is the role of the Lincoln Homeless Coalition. Its member agencies are staffed with professionals who work every day with the homeless and the near homeless to help them be more self-sufficient. The occupiers at the Capitol Parkway site complied with the notice, and as of Tuesday afternoon had vacated the area. Now we have to look to the future and the most responsible means of providing appropriate venues for free speech in our community. It is my belief that our public spaces must continue to be open to all those exercising their First Amendment rights. But our laws are in need of updating. The question becomes how we deal with the occupation of public spaces when that occupation denies access to others who may want to express their own free speech or simply enjoy a public space with their family. In short, how do we make room for all voices in a pluralistic society rather than simply ceding public space to one voice? Next week, we will introduce a package of legislation to the City Council to begin to address this issue. I believe the proposals represent a good balance, one that accommodates people like those in Occupy Lincoln who wish to express their First Amendment rights by means of demonstration, and those who wish to have fair access to the same space. City Attorney Rod Comfort is here to talk about that package in a moment. Occupy Lincoln has engaged in a cherished American tradition, which is older, in fact, than the American Republic itself. The protesters have engaged in active civil and political discourse in hopes of improving the society in which they live. They have been making honest efforts. Their commitment and dedication to the ideals they espouse is admirable. I have profound respect for all Lincolnites who pursue this different path, whether it's Occupation Lincoln, the Right to Life movement, or the Tea Party movement. There is respect in Lincoln for all sincere voices. I encourage members of Occupy Lincoln to continue to make their voices heard, just as I encourage all Lincoln residents to speak out on important matters. Now the time has come for Occupy Lincoln to fight for its ideals in a different arena. Like the many activists who have come before them, Occupy Lincoln has to make the difficult transition from being purely a protest group to being a real political agent for change. Their ideas have to compete with others in a democratic process. That's the American way. But their work thus far, in their work thus far, they have worked with the local elected government, and they have kept their word, just as we would expect from the homegrown citizens who constituted the bulk of the occupiers. So with that, Chief Cassidy, you may want to describe briefly what occurred this morning.
We've been planning for some time on what we would do in the event that the people